Hello Exiles, I finally did it. A new build, new character. And just take a look how cool this looks even without any MTXs. I love that. Yeah, but the character, what it is, it's a Witchhunter, currently level 82, the Vision Exiled Red Lord. And I'll get to explaining the name after. Yeah, so let's do, for example, this map. I want to do first a little showcase on a Savannah map with the boss. The boss is a bit annoying, so you can get a picture how the single target looks. And I must say the single target is better than the clear. And first thing I want to definitely say... Yeah, and by the way, I think it was the last patch they've added these fire effects where you basically scorch the ground or something with fire skills. It used to be on some skills, but it wasn't, for example, on explosive shot, I think. And yeah, just look how cool this looks. Yeah, but the thing I wanted to say, the character as it is right now absolutely isn't worth it, the investment. Definitely not. So yeah, just get that out of the way. But I think once I actually spend currency on things that matter and not just on some random ass stuff, it's gonna be great. At least I hope so. And especially once I get more levels, definitely. But as you can see, I've scaled quite a lot of area of effect. And in turn, I'm lacking on damage on this explosive shot that I'm using. I'm not even one-shotting normal enemies, as you can see. And but yeah, once I get more damage and just better, that comes with just better gear, because my crossbow is kind of bad. It's like 2 divine crossbow, I think, or 4 divine, something like that. Yeah, really not that much when I'm spending all the currency on the rest of my gear, and the rest of my gear is not giving me any damage. As you can see, the buff bar, I'm having Headhunter, and I'm having also Ascendancy. So this is an expensive build, and it is absolutely not worth spending the currency on. But that's rationally speaking. For me, even now, it is absolutely worth spending the... What the hell? Reload already. Even right now, it for me absolutely is worth spending the currency on, because I just love this kind of build. I just love it. Once I actually make the build more functional than this, then it's gonna be great. Because like as you can see, I can clear tier 15s, like not a big issue, right? But yeah, for the investment, definitely not good. Definitely not. And eventually it's gonna get better, I'm sure. But first of all, I need to fix a couple of things. Let's say it like that. Let's just stun this bad boy. His armor broken. Apply all my debuffs. And just do a slam. And then just rinse and repeat. I mean, oh, I have no mana. As you can see, the Thunders are doing pretty sizable damage. But I was quite heavily investing into Ignite, and I forgot to do my Infernal Cry. But yeah, as you can see, I'm quite tanky. And now I'll do the combo properly. No speaking. So, this grenade, this, and now Thunder should be dead. Yep. Just do the combo properly and things are gonna die. Yeah, but that's how the character looks. It's a bit hilarious to me because basically all the character currently is... It is a currency sink. And not the kind of currency thing you want it to be. So that's why I'm kind of smiling and laughing here a bit, because yeah, it is absolutely not worth the investment. But now let's just jump into the explanation and what are our plans for the build and all of this stuff. So, let's first of all start off with the most interesting thing about this build, and that's the gear. And I guess I'll start off with the most interesting combination. So, I'm using Deepest Tower here. And basically why I'm using it is for the enemies in presence count as being on low life. And I'm utilizing low life mechanics on the skill tree, such as these. Damage is lucky against enemies on low life, and general damage against enemies on low life, and just like that, the same right here. So that's why I'm using low life, and it enables me to also use support like this one, Execute. 50% more damage with hits against enemies that are on low life. So that's why the Deepest Tower. Basically, prep ton of damage. And also, I'm trying to scale AoE, that's why I've increased area of effect talisman socketed here. I'm also trying to scale AoE because the helmet gives you a downside of 50% reduced presence area of effect. Presence area of effect is by default 4 meters, and this is gonna make it 2 meters. So I'm trying to counteract that downside with generic AoE and presence AoE, and this is my current presence area of effect. And it just about covers the AoE of my explosive shot. My explosive shot is actually a bit bigger than the presence area of effect. But yeah. Oh, sorry. But yeah, that's why I'm using this helmet. Basically a crap ton of damage. Then Ascendancy. Why Ascendancy? Why I even decided to use this item? The reason is I dropped it. You might have seen the short video I've got on YouTube. Basically a YouTube short of me dropping the Ascendancy. And yeah, I was quite excited about dropping it because I can't even see the point of someone saying that PoE2 has no dopamine drops. I mean, when I dropped it, that was pure dopamine, nothing else. But yeah, whatever. I dropped it, so I decided to use it. And I decided to use it in a way that it would enable me some kind of weird, interesting build, and not just use it as a thing that would fix all my attributes and that's it. That's kind of lame. That's probably the best use case of Ascendancy, right? But to me it's kind of lame. So I wanted to really make a build around it. So that's why I'm using Ascendancy. It enables me to do Giant's Blood on the skill tree, because it gives me crap ton of attributes, and unfortunately Giant's Blood puts triple attribute requirements on all martial weapons, and that means even crossbows, because they are martial weapons. So, and you cannot use keystones for weapon swaps, right? So, unfortunately, build like this with the crossbow and 2 maces with Giant's Blood on a weapon swap, I don't want to say it would be impossible, but it would be really hard without Ascendancy. Maybe even impossible. I'm not sure, right? I'm not sure. But I know originally during the early access launch I wanted to play this character that I'm playing right now, but I quickly figured out that I would really need Ascendancy, and that's when I firstly looked at the price of Ascendancy, and it was like 100 divines during the early access launch. So yeah, I basically put that build on a bench, and now I'm playing it and I enjoy it. But yeah, that's the Ascendancy and the story behind it, I guess. Then I'm using Headhunter. So yeah, a couple tier 0 uniques here. Yeah, exactly, a couple. But yeah, Headhunter. Why Headhunter? I don't know. It was basically a spontaneous choice. Then that I wanted to try out Headhunter in PoE2. Because in PoE1 it feels freaking good. And I was curious how it feels in PoE2. And it feels pretty good when you get especially when you get the Frenzied buff and Haste Aura. and from my 29 movement speed or 30 movement speed, I'm all of a sudden 90 movement speed running around for 20 seconds, and that feels good. But in the end, I don't think it really is necessary in this build. I might even replace it later for Ingenuity. So yeah, that's Headhunter. Mainly what it's giving me right now is the strength and is the dexterity. So I think once I get better rings than I have right now, I'm gonna replace it for Ingenuity. But yeah, I'm wearing a Headhunter. Then let's start off with the rings. And they are just stats, resists, life and rarity. Basic rings. Stats, resists, and rarity. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There were a couple divines both. Body armor. This was a pretty nice body armor, and I'm happy that I bought this one. And it might not look like much, but it was perfect for my build. It's giving me crap ton of resists, chaos res, life, everything I need basically. And I was thinking about using the Moria Invictus with something like global defenses, life, and attributes, or life and, I don't know, elemental resists. And I think Moria Invictus would in the end be superior choice to normal rare body armor like this. But the good Moria Invictus I think would cost me over 30 divines, and I'm already completely out of currency. I've got only 6 divines in my inventory, so everything was synced into this build already. I didn't have money to buy Moria Invictus, so yeah, that's the thing I'm using right now. Then the gloves, and I mean they're just as much armor as I can get, and then resist and physical damage leech as life. That's basically everything I need on the gloves. I need at least one source of physical damage leech. So why I'm using gloves with as much armor as possible instead of, let's say, evasion. And the reason why is, I mean evasion, life, sorry, instead of life. The reason is this notable on the skill tree. Leatherbound gauntlets, +1 evasion rating per 1 armor on equipped gloves. And that means, yeah, these gloves are not just giving me 656 armor, but they're also giving me 656 evasion. And that gets converted to armor again with iron reflexes. So these gloves are giving me over 1300 armor, right? So that's why. Okay, and yeah, the boots. I'm really proud of these boots because I've found them myself. And last time I was taking a look at price of boots similar to these. It was like 30 to 50 divines. Yeah, and these boots might not look like much again, but they're pretty much the perfect thing for my build. They've got 35 movement speed, they're armor base, lots of life, lots of resists, and really good stun threshold. Basically, I don't think it's gonna get better than this, and I've dropped them myself. So yeah, and they were rotting like a week in my stash tab, and I was thinking to use them, and yeah, I'm using them on this character. And the talisman socketed is for presence area of effect, as I explained in the deepest tower section. And yeah, the rest, I mean the crossbow. This is probably the reason why my damage isn't really high, because the crossbow really isn't high on DPS. Really isn't. It could be a lot better. It's, I'm not sure now, like 500-ish DPS. I'm not sure at the moment. And I'm not even sure if the 130% ally damage with attacks is worth it over the flat damage. So, yeah. But it is what it is. The build's gonna get better. Now I just need levels and currency. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much everything I need, I think. Yeah, but this is the reason why the damage isn't really that high. Especially on the explosive shot. For single target, I'm using this mace. This one I bought for 2 divines again. And yeah, this is a... I mean, it's not great. It can get a lot better than this, of course, but it is not a bad mace. Especially for Sunder. I've got really good crit damage bonus and levels to all melee skills and also some physical damage. So yeah, that's the main weapon. And this one I'm reusing from some of my old character. Yeah, basically a mace with damage and level of melee skills. That's what I was, I think, using on my warrior. But yeah, ideally this one would be, again, something similar to this one. Just again, crit damage bonus for Sunder scaling and as much physical with levels as I can get. But that wasn't the original plan. The original plan was to use the Eternal Flame, I think it's called, the scepter that everyone is using on their Amazons, on their Lightning Spear builds. Yeah, basically the scepter that drops from Searing Exarch. Sorry, I mean Arbiter of Ash. Yeah, the scepter that gives you up to 60% damage as fire. And that was the original plan, to use a 1 mace and to get the scepter. I think it would probably be more damage. I'm not sure, I didn't POB or anything, but I'm quite sure it would be more damage because, not just because it's gonna give you that 60% damage as extra fire, but also because the Sunder has the downside, while dual wielding, both weapons hit with 30% less damage. So, and that's quite a lot of less damage. Overall, it is better than using one weapon, but 30% less damage is quite a lot. And without the scepter, with the scepter, the downside wouldn't apply because I would have only one mace. So yeah, and I would be doing lots more fire damage. And hopefully my ignite damage is gonna go up quite a bit, because I tried to make this build, I tried a lot of ignite stuff, not just on single target, but on explosive shot also, and it just, at the moment, it doesn't feel right. Yeah, but that's the gear. These are the charms, if you care about that, and flasks. And now let's jump into the skill tree. That'll be a quick one. Oh yeah, I'm a Witchhunter, and I've got only 2 Ascendancies as in this moment. And the most important thing is here Weapon Master. For 24 more weapon set skill points. And then the plan is to use a Pitless Killer and Judge, Jury, and the Executioner, because it kind of fits the theme, and also these are giving me increased damage against enemies that are on low life. So these 2 are basically 78% increased damage because of Deepest Tower. And then the last thing is Zealous Inquisition, and Zealous Inquisition feels really good, but there's one unfortunate thing about that. It is, in my opinion, it is quite hard to scale generic AoE, like this node right here. Just generic increased area of effect is quite scarce. You can get a lot of, and I mean a lot of, attack AoE, like increased area of effect for attacks, but this doesn't count as an attack. It is, I don't know, a trigger or something. Basically, it isn't an attack, so nodes like these that give me a crap ton of increased AoE for attacks don't work for the Zealous Inquisition. Nodes that work are these, generic increased area of effect, the talisman I have in my helmet, generic increased area of effect, or notes like these with generic increased area of effect. And I'm gonna take all of them, just it's gonna take a bit of time. But yeah, that's the thing I want to play with. I was leveling with it and it feels really good, and I played in endgame once before. I played during the early access launch, I played a Witchhunter and I was playing with it for a while, and it feels good even in maps. And the thing I'm even considering is, maybe, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna play with the Ascendancy a bit, but I'm gonna try and drop these and take the Witchbane and No Mercy, because I've played with them before and they feel pretty good. Yeah, that's just all I'm gonna say. They feel pretty good. But now let's get into the interesting stuff about the build, and that's a lot of weapon swap points. And that's why this build is called the Vision Exiled Red Lord, because basically from the start, or from the announcement of PoE2, we have seen the weapon set skill points, and we have basically known that they're gonna be used for really weapon swapping and comboing stuff, like using crossbows and, I don't know, let's say spellcasting, because you would have these weapon set swaps, and that's how they've been advertised, at least in my opinion. That's how I've every time looked at them. And if anyone's using weapon set skill points, they're usually using it for a completely different purpose. And the different purpose, I mean, let's take Maces for example. You've got your clearing weapon set up with AoE, and then you've got your weapon set up for single target, and then you just have to use 2 different weapon sets for 2 different, yeah, basically 4 weapons if you're going for Giant's Blood. And that's just the Mace example. And yeah, that doesn't feel bad. That is, I think, creative, and I like it. But I like it much better this way, where I really have 2 different weapon types, and I'm utilizing the weapon set skill points to switch between those different weapon types and get a most use of those weapon types. So yeah, that's why on my weapon set 2, I'm scaling lots of crit and lots of strength and basically high damage nodes for my maces, for my Sunder. And on my weapon set 1, I'm scaling lots of AoE. These nodes right here, these nodes... Where is it? These nodes right here. Basically lots of AoE and presence node right here. Lots of AoE for my explosive shot. And also some armor breaking right here and heavy stunning. Because heavy stunning, this node enables me to basically cap up my scavenge blading while clearing, and scavenge blading is giving me a lot more armor. But yeah, that's how I'm using it. And also this node, Pylon, they've changed it in this league, Dawn of the Hunt. It didn't give you increased effect of fully broken armor, but effect of fully broken armor, they've also buffed it. Where is it? 20% increased physical damage taken, basically. Enemies take. And 30% is what? 30% is 6 more percent. So it, instead of 20% increased physical damage taken from hits, it would be 26%. And that's good for 3 nodes. And I think this snapshots. And I mean it in a way, I'm breaking armor on bosses with my armor piercing bolts, and they break armor quite quickly. And I think I've got it on the weapon swap 1, right? And I think when I break armor with this node and then switch to my Sunder, it's gonna keep the increased effect of broken armor from this node right here. I think at least. That makes sense to me. So yeah. That's the skill tree, and also I'm reusing the thing I was using on my warrior, on my Smith of Kitava. Basically, what's it called? From nothing with radius of unwavering stance to get finality and these small damage nodes against enemies on low life. But yeah, that's basically the skill tree. Link's gonna be in the description as always. And I need really just more levels. Just more levels, more levels, more levels. With each level, the build's gonna feel much better. Now I need just more damage on my explosive shot. And that's why I'm probably gonna take these 2 nodes next. And then I'm just gonna start taking these nodes on my weapon swap 1. And for my weapon swap 2, I mean, it's gonna be just more single target. That's pretty much it. But yeah, the link will be in the description. Also, I need to get another jewel, and these are the rare jewels I'm using. Just presence area of effect, and I'm gonna replace these jewels for more damage jewels. So let's say increased area damage or increased attack damage instead of the gain 2 rage when hit by an enemy. And I've got 2 of these jewels. Where's the second one? Right here. Yeah. But definitely I'm gonna be keeping the presence area and fire penetration and hopefully even the stun build up. But yeah. That's the skill tree. And also I'm using iron reflexes, as I said before, to convert all my evasion to armor. So yeah. I was originally thinking that I'm gonna be going basically for hybrid armor and evasion, and that would be probably better choice overall. But at the same time, I really want to use these boots, and it would be a bit of a shame to really try and scale armor and evasion and have just pure armor boots. And at the same time, the deepest tower is not giving me any evasion. And also, I have no space in my gem setup, so I wouldn't be able to have Wind Dancer. But yeah, now let's jump into the skill gem setup. And let's just start off with the most important stuff, and that's explosive shot. And yeah, by the way, all my gems are just whatever levels. I think most of them are level 17 now. So even my gems aren't really good. So lots of improvements gonna be in the build. But yeah, explosive shot, primal armament, execute, scatter shot, auto reload, and magnified effect. I'm considering dropping magnified effect and just get some more damage socket. I don't know what though. And also scatter shot, I wasn't using it up until recently, just because I wanted to do really just big hits. That would mean even bigger ignites, right? But I can't help it. Scatter shot just feels really good for explosive shot. So yeah, I'm using scatter shot. Reloading. But the thing I absolutely need to show you, and I'm planning to... Oh, they've changed this. Okay, nice. The thing I absolutely need to show you is salvo support. And I'm even thinking about making some weird, wacky explosive shot build for single target, because look what salvo support does. Or let's read it first. Salvo supports TLDR gives you 1 seal every 2 seconds, and 1 seal gives you 2 additional projectiles fired without any damage downside. And you have up to 3 seals. That means what, 6 additional projectiles, right? So my explosive shot would now, since I have 3 seals, shoot 3 projectiles. But normally, I'll show you on my crossbow shot. Normally, what? Oh, I need this. Yeah, normally the projectiles are fired. The big downside here is the projectiles are fired into random direction. That's how it looks normally. So, as you have seen now, I've shot it into random directions and I wouldn't hit the things before me. But the thing how it works with skills that target ground is quite important for explosive shot, because explosive shot, it targets ground like this, right? Where you click, it targets the ground, as you can see. And skills that target ground are usually with salvo working the way that even the salvo projectiles are going to target the ground, and they're going to be almost in the same range as you're clicking in, because with explosive shot you can click right underneath your feet, and that means you're gonna unleash the payload of all 7 explosive shot with the salvo support right underneath your feet, as you can see right now, without any damage penalty. So that's why I'm planning to use it on some next build on a single target, because this way, as you can see, all of the explosions are overlapping. Definitely, no one can say they're not. And with all of these explosions, I'm getting the base attack damage or attack percentage, let's say, 447. I'm getting it 7 times. So let's whip out my calculator here. 447 times 7. 3,129. And that's a lot. That's a big-ass payload of damage for a single target. So maybe I'm gonna make a tactician and clear with a siege cascade or something, and just use explosive shot for a single target and make a grenadier explosive shot thing work. But that's a thing I wanted to show you. This is really important stuff, I think. So yeah, that's explosive shot. Currently using it for clear. Sunder, single target thing, linked with Fist of War, Hourglass, Conk Effect, Super Critical, and Overextend. And for single target, I'm gonna be switching Hourglass with Execute. I didn't do it in the showcase because I forgot, but yeah, that's gonna be the optimal thing. I'm gonna switch them. Armor Piercing Bolts for Armor Break for Sunder, because Sunder consumes fully broken armor to deal guaranteed critical strike. So yeah, Armor Piercing Bolts, that's how I'm breaking enemies' armor. And it's linked with Demolisher, Lacerate, and I'm gonna get into why in a bit. So Lacerate, Break Posture for the Daze, and Daze makes enemies easier to be stunned. Mobility and Martial Tempo to apply the armor break faster, to basically shoot faster. And then the synergy while Lacerate is right here. Flash Grenade linked with Payload, so they have a chance to activate an additional time, as you have seen right now. And Blood in the Eyes, Hobble equal to 15% of physical damage dealt by supported skill against bleeding enemies. That's why I'm using Lacerate on my Armor Piercing Bolts, because first I'm gonna use Armor Piercing Bolts to bleed enemy and armor break the enemy. Then I'm gonna use Flash Grenade because the enemy is gonna be dazed, thus easier to be stunned, and it's gonna be bleeding. And I'm gonna hobble the enemy, and what hobble does, it basically lowers their evasion. Without this, I think it would be technically almost no change, because you're gonna hit the bosses anyways. But yeah, that just felt to me like a nice synergy, and that's why I'm using it. It feels like a clever choice. So that's why I'm using it. But yeah, really the synergy of Break Posture and Flash Grenade is quite nice. Then I'm using Ingenuity, and of course Overpower for more stun buildup. Then Oil Grenade I'm using for fire exposure, because Oil Grenade applies fire exposure. So thus I'm using Strip Away for increased exposure effect. Despoiler for ground effects to last longer, because you can see it somewhere around here. It's about 7 seconds. Yeah, right here. Oil duration 7.5 seconds. Without this, it will be half that. Oh, yeah, 5 seconds, basically 50% plus. Okay, then I'm using Reach. And then I'm using Ground Surfaces. Oh, Domain. Sorry for the ground surfaces not being removed, other than expiring. Yeah, Infernal Cry, Premeditation, Raging Cry, and Tireless. Pretty straightforward links. Then Flammability with Heightened Curse, Cursed Ground, Persistence, and Life Depth. And Herald of Ash with Fire Mastery, Acrimony, Cannibalism, and Scavenged Plating with Physical Mastery and Vitality. And the proper single target damage combo, I'll show you like this. Basically on a single target, you're not using Explosive Shot whatsoever. So the first thing you want to do before single target comes, swap Execute to Sunder. And then start with Armor Piercing Bolts. Yeah, Armor Piercing Bolts. Break the enemy's armor. Once the enemy has broken armor, use Flash Grenade, use Oil Grenade, use Flammability, use Infernal Cry, and then you can do your one big Sunder, and it should one-shot the enemy. So yeah, basically, I'll show you again. Armor piercing bolts, fresh grenade, all grenade, flammability, infernal cry, and then sunder. Bam. That's the damage rotation. And you can do it again and again because you don't rely that much on heavy stunning the enemy. So again, if the enemy survives, armor piercing bolts, fresh grenade, all grenade, flammability, infernal cry, sunder. And I'm out of mana. Yep. But that's it. I think I've said everything I wanted. I needed. As I said, hopefully the build's gonna get a lot better once I actually get better weapons. Because, yeah, at the moment, I'm really not proud of the damage of explosive shot, but I mean, honestly, I'm just building this build for me. I don't mind sinking all the currency into the build. But I definitely wouldn't recommend copying it. But if you're looking for some kind of build, you can maybe get inspired or something. But yeah, I love it. I love it, even though it just doesn't feel really good. It doesn't have the best damage. It doesn't have the best clear. It isn't even really tanky. Because I'm having like 12,000 armor once I'm mapping. And bossing too. And just normal 75 res. With like not even 3k life. And then, I mean, that's pretty much all the defense there is in the build. So, it is not the tankiest. It is not the best in single target. It doesn't have the best clear. Doesn't have the best AoE. Isn't the fastest. So what I'm saying is, it is a bad build that requires a shit ton of currency, and definitely, rationally speaking, isn't worth doing. But for me, it is absolutely worth, because I love it. I have great fun with it. I have great fun playing it. And yeah, that's why I'm gonna keep on playing it and try to make it better than this. Really put some love into this build, because it's the thing that I was looking forward the most for in PoE2. Just pure, like, weapon swapping to different weapon types and utilizing different things with different weapons. And yeah, that was the goal. That was the thing I was looking forward the most in PoE2. And now with Ascendancy really makes it a lot easier. And I'm just gonna say it. I love this kind of gameplay. This whole weapon swapping. And I love theory crafting these builds. I love figuring out the skill tree and all of this stuff. But I think it is really hard. It is really hard to make things like this work without Ascendancy. And that's quite lame, I would say. And I'm speaking from experience. I experimented with these kinds of builds quite a lot. And it is really hard to make these builds work. And yeah, I mean, Ascendancy is one of the most expensive items, right? And you kind of need it for shit build like this. So that's a bit unfortunate. That's absolutely why I would like to see the gem requirements lowered by like 25% for basically every skill, and also probably gear requirements lowered even more than they are right now. Maybe it isn't that big of a problem on different weapons or without Giant's Blood, but yeah, I would like to make, for example, one spellcaster utilizing some maces and melee attacks and basically make a battle mage. But currently it is really hard, and since we don't have Inquisitor or Druid or anything, we don't have, but basically this top left side of the skill tree is quite blank if you compare it to the other ones. There's a lot of empty space, as if you compare it to this, for example. This is, everything's gonna get better, and I'm looking forward to it really a lot. But yeah, that's how I feel right now. And yeah, and also I would love to get at least 2 more skill gem slots for basically everyone. Two more skill gem slot baselines, because I'm really trying to make lots of combo builds and combo interaction. You utilize different skills. Just look how many skills I'm utilizing right here. And I'm not doing the best damage, right? But I would also like to utilize additional aura right here. And I would also like to utilize stuff like Plasma Blast for the shock and use it with combination of the support that shocks on ignited enemies don't expire. So I would basically guarantee a shock with Plasma Blast at the beginning of the fight and keep the shock on the enemy throughout the rest of the fight because it would be ignited for the whole time. Thanks to my Sunder, thanks to my ignite chance and all of this. But yeah, what I would really like to see, lower attribute requirements on basically everything by like, I don't know, 20-25%, and give us at least 2 skill gem slots. Because you could argue that the skill gem slots just gonna be more power creep. But if you think about it, the meta builds don't even fill the skill gem slots in that are currently in right now. And I'm on my scuffed off meta super expensive build, not doing any damage, and I'm using all the skill gem slots for combinations of damage. Like, the meta and broken builds are not gonna use the skill gem slot anyways, I think. And it would just add more fun to people like me that really like to experiment with all of this wacky, weird stuff we've got right here. Yeah, that'll be it for the video. So, if you really are interested in this build, stop by the stream. I'm gonna play it for quite a long time, I think. Not just because I love it, but because I'm freaking poor thanks to this mess that I've made. And yeah, I'm just gonna be playing it, and more videos gonna come out once I get more currency, once I get more levels, more upgrades. Ideally, I aim to be like level 95. Yeah, we shall see if that'll be even possible. But yeah, that'll be really it. Thank you very much for watching, Exiles. See you in the next one.